So people, quick video for you guys. I want to talk about Mercedes Monè. And you know what? It's amazing how people don't appreciate real talent simply because that talent decided to go take their talent somewhere else. And there's no denying Mercedes Monè is having the best matches of her life. She's doing the best work of her life, period. The only difference in Mercedes Monè, honestly, is she's sharper, she's better, she's more fine-tuned, she's physically more stronger now than she was before. She's gained a little bit of weight, not fat, of course, but like she's gotten a little bit, bigger, and I feel like she's a little stronger now than she was. Just certain moves I see her do, and how she's never been the biggest or the strongest, but she's always put everything together well. But the way she was being used, win a championship, lose it freaking a month later, and just basically we're more focused on your gimmick. You come out, do your dance, your little boss dance, and the crowd starts screaming and cheering. Notice the same thing they do with Bianca, the same thing. They always have certain people, they give them the same type of, they come out dancing or they come out and do something. It's like, let's embrace the gimmick more, than the actual skill set. And Mercedes Monè, one thing I love about her is that she's a heel, but she wins clean. Like, she's about wrestling. This is exactly, like, not character-wise, but when I was talking about Bayley needing a makeover, I feel like if Bayley had this, she's focused on wrestling type persona, but, and she's more precise with the words, like, her promos stink. And I like Bayley, but her promos really stink. She just sounds like someone, like I said, arguing on some talk show or something, Maury Povich or Jerry Springer or some shit. That's her argument sound. It's like she's just not good with promos. She really needs someone that should show her how to do promos based off having a character that stands out. You understand what I'm saying? And when I say she's focused on wrestling, I don't mean she has to be the next Bret Hart or trying to make her Serena Deeb or something like that. I'm saying, like, her wrestling is what she's focused on. But she can basically, and she calls herself the role model, right? I mean, I have ideas, like I said, but I can sit up here. I'm not going into all of that. But this is what I'm saying. Because even though Bayley can wrestle, it's like her fit in the WWE, as time goes on, a lot of times, you need a change. And I feel like, you see, like, for Mercedes Monè, she was heel when she left WWE. But if you remember, she had to cheat all the time. That's what heels do, don't get me wrong. But the matches weren't even good. It was all just like I said, see, the difference, WWE is all about spots, moments. AEW is about wrestling, spots and moments. But they're not doing, like, these ridiculous characters, man. I don't want to look. Like guys like Pineapple Pete, right? You have like weird characters like, Iguana Man. Like, they all have a place in wrestling because it's wrestling, right? But I don't really care for those type of characters personally. You understand what I mean? So my thing is, imagine having a guy like Pineapple Pete or Iguana Man in your company, and you're looking at this guy like it's not so much the wrestling, it's the way we book him and selling merchandise from this person. And they look at people, they have a different purpose for different people. And this is where, once again, I have to reiterate, with Toni Storm in her promo with Mercedes, and she said, here at AEW, we are who we're meant to be. That's the difference maker in everything. Being able to shine, man. I mean, everything she's accomplished, there's no way she'd be walking around here with titles from other companies that she's working for the WWE. Now, the most that you could say that might happen is they punk TNA or they punk AAA. And she's, because they now, well, they don't own TNA, but you understand, like Trick Williams is walking around with their belt. So it's possible, but I don't see them letting Mercedes do that. I don't see them letting her do that. They might let Stephanie Vaquer do some shit like that, or Lola Vice, or somebody they're trying to push, because if you look at now, I don't remember the kids' names that's the AAA Tag Team Champions, but this AAA shit, man, these you want to know what? I'm gonna tell you what the main goal is. For one, let's block, try to block, another market for AEW to reach out to, because AEW with the whole Forbidden Door concept and all. But what WWE does, they overblow everything. It becomes overkill. It's just the same shit over and over. It's like, all right, man, you guys could have done it already. But I look at that, and this is what I get from this, right? It's that, let's try to block the market. Let's try to own this and that. Let's try to, and let's use these markets to help get our lower level wrestlers over. Get them some more exposure. People who normally might not watch will watch now. This is why Trick Williams is TNA champion, because TNA sucks and they don't believe in any of these guys. And here's this is to show you how much they don't believe in TNA. That they took, of all people, a freaking prospect, an up and comer, a developmental wrestler, as their world heavyweight champion. And this is what they've been doing. And of course, you WWE retards will say things like, yeah, but their popularity, they'll get more exposure. No. If anything, now they can get over with the TNA fans, because to be honest with you, I'm not being funny. I'm just telling you flat out. TNA fans are a bunch of airheads, man. That's why they sit there chanting NXT at a TNA show and cheering NXT for the bad guys. Okay, if you know anything about Mexican wrestling, man, it's the same. If Japanese is, if it's Japan, the same thing. They're not gonna go for you having, a partnership, or we have a merger of a show and all of your wrestlers are just kicking our wrestlers' ass. Your wrestlers are coming over here winning world heavyweight champions and tag champions and all, and we're not able to do the same thing over in WWE. No, we have a problem. So if we're going to sit here and play this whole who's the bigger company bullshit, then we'll never ever have a level playing field. Why? Because the advantage is always going to go to who's more popular. And this is what I'm telling you. Chad Gable going back and forth with Vikingo. Chad Gable's not on the look. Chad Gable is used as a mid guy. I don't care all that talent he has. See, this is what I'm saying, and I'm not saying Bayley has to have a Chad Gable. I'm a Kurt Angle type. But what I'm saying is it's about wrestling for her. But I just feel like she can use a facelift, man. I don't mean physically. What I do mean as far as her gear and shit. No, it never hurts to switch up and have a new look to go with your gimmick. You understand what I'm saying? And like, imagine her being more like a female Ric Flair. And I don't mean a Charlotte Flair type, like with all the. See, they got to get away from this bougie shit, man. These little preppy motherfuckers like that. It just doesn't make for good champions, man. It really, like, it's like watching movies, man. Imagine like Pee Wee Herman being a fucking action hero instead of a comic. Like it just doesn't add up. But she needs something that's gonna carry over, man, with people. I feel like Bayley's the type of person that will be a good fit in AEW if she has a makeover, because she can wrestle. But Bayley, honestly, character-wise, she always lacked. So when she used to come out, waving her hands from side to side with those balloons, like I said before, it's like, okay, cool. I wasn't crazy about that, but it is what it is. Look, I'm really not nitpicking with what a person's character is so much. But what I'm saying, when you have the same type of character for years and years and years, this is why people become stale, man. And then what happens, you get to that point where, okay, you're cemented, you're a legend. They'll tolerate you, like Goldberg coming out and the whole crowd chanting Goldberg. Did you not see this guy limping out the ring? He looks like an old man, for real. Like he looks like, yeah, okay, his better days are behind him. And this is your main event. for fucking Saturday night's main event or whatever it is. Like, I'm just saying, man, this stuff is it's the type of thing where I think that people just get, like I said, they become complacent. What's the first thing people said about John Cena's heel turn? Oh, he should come out with a new look. My point. Even without turning heel, he could have came out and just surprised everybody with just a different look. But the fact he turned heel, I get it. Yeah. But Mercedes Monè has risen above all of that bullshit. She's doing just fine in AEW, and the type of work she put in. I mean, the schedule, man, the constant, like she's wrestling, she's traveling, she's doing these things. She's not sitting back, and I think she gets it. You come to AEW after the way you were treated in WWE, just to go running back. That doesn't make you look good. And in fact, they know if you come back, you're desperate, because you're already making top dollar. And like she said, she's making way more money now than she ever was in WWE. So why would she feel the need to come back? She made a comment the other day, and I respect it. And I said, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is how these wrestlers need to talk. If you're going to show loyalty to the company you used to be with over the company you're with currently, they don't need you. Because they just know that, okay, this person is going to give us some good time, some good shows, then they're going to go and tuck their tail and run as soon as their contract is up. Mercedes Monè was asked a question about her not being able to live without the WWE. At some point, she's going to go back. And Mercedes Monè said, no, it's not the WWE that I can't live without. She said, it's wrestling, period. In general, just wrestling. So, and she also did big up AEW, but it's funny how they didn't plug that part in that interview. I read it, and I watched the interview, but I watched the article. Yeah, they didn't put what she actually said, that part. And she flat out said, AEW is her home, and she want to retire at AEW. But, my whole thing with that is, when she first came and she was talking differently, it's obvious she learned. Now, that's the wrong thing to say. Now, you hope people mean what they say. Otherwise you got a bunch of liars, man, just telling you shit to tell you. But Mercedes Monè is, she's putting that work in the ring. And, I know her being in AEW is where these, childish, very hate-filled people, they love to, talk and run their mouths. But we all know what would happen if she went back to the WWE in terms of her fan reaction. We already know. So my whole thing with all of that is, we don't focus on the negativity. Only fools are gonna sit up here and only fools are gonna sit up here and pretend and make excuses to just talk shit about a person. But she the work she's putting in, man, she has to be proud of herself. Tony Khan has to be proud of it. You never know how the wrestlers feel about different people, because a lot of times these people don't get along. But I'm saying the way she's holding it down and representing AEW, that's what you're supposed to do, man. So for all of these glazing ass WWE fans that the wrestlers come there, ever since I was a kid, it was my dream to be a part of WWE. And okay, yeah, we hear you. But what happens when they let you go? You're still glazing, hoping that just in case you need to come back and in the long run that they'll welcome you back. But they will always welcome you back, unless they just don't want you. My point is, you don't have to kiss their ass to do that. When Naomi went to TNA and she was holding that title, the one thing that I saw, the one thing I knew for sure, was that she was going to become champion. I was like 1,000% confident she's going to become TNA champion. But just say, for example, when you look at Naomi's accolades and what she's done, right? How many people do you hear say former TNA Women's Champion, former WWE? They only talk about her former WWE work, her being a champion. They never bring up the fact she was a TNA Knockouts champion. Why? It shows you they don't give a shit about giving TNA any real shine. You know, look who their champion is now, the world champions. You know, so this is what I'm saying. If you're content where you are, you find fulfillment where you are, by all means, hey, do what you're doing. But I am saying, man, that this whole, this whole, oh, but I only watch this, I only watch that. That's foolish to me. It's your preference, it's your choice, facts. But it's really foolish to me, just for the simple fact that these people that come out to entertain and come out to try to put a good show on, when they're not used properly, you can say that they suck, they're garbage, they're trash and all, but it's just the way they're being used a lot of times. Look at what happened to Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan took a move and she dislocated her right shoulder, and so, I don't know how long she's going to be out, but she probably would have won that match. Like, the match was probably for her to win if she didn't get injured. So now, guess what we have to do? Tweak the storyline. Okay, that didn't happen, so now we got to do this. So, we'll however it goes is however it goes. But what I'm saying, these freak accidents, they happen. They happen. Someone gets injured. Look how long Sky Blue was out when she got injured. And I remember that match when Hikaru Shida, dove off that apron and she landed on her, the way she caught her, and she, messed her leg up and she was out for a long time. Okay? So these things happen and you gotta rearrange things. And I'm saying, a lot of time, when you get to that point where you had so many injuries and your body just can't take it anymore, I mean, look at John Cena. He's what, 40, whatever she is, 46, 47, whatever he is. 48? Is it 48? 48, I think. But bottom line, people that have seen him on TV for so many years, he's old. Now, if John Cena died right now, you know what everybody would say? God, he was only 48 years old. He was young. But somehow when you're alive, you're a certain age, you're old. But your body just get beat up, and that's what he said. He said that the real reason he's retiring is because his body, he just can't take it. He can't do the moves he used to do, and you can see it. Shows you how durable Sting was, man. Because that motherfucker hung around till he was 63. And he's still doing dives off caves and taking super kicks and all types of shit. Yeah. Shows you how durable Sting was, man. But yeah, I mean, even with that being the case though, right? This is where Mercedes, I'm looking like people don't appreciate good talent until it's no longer there. I know how people think, but I just feel like Mercedes Monè, man, she's like second to none. And she puts on each and every time she's in that ring. She's having nothing but back to back banger matches, man. And I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. It's easy to talk that bullshit. Oh, but this person is doing man. I think that what she's doing right now, and how she's been putting everything together, it to me, it shows how dedicated she is to what she's doing. And everybody she's been in there with, from Chris Statlander, to Hikaru Shida, all these different people she's been in there with, man. She's always Julia Hart, everybody. Anna Jay, everybody, Harley Cameron, who's on the come up. She just have great matches with these people, man. Stephanie Vecchio, all of these different people. I look at her, and I look at, if you look at everybody else's body of work, the only other champion, female champion anyway, that you can even look at and even compare is Toni Storm. She's the only one. Toni Storm, she wrestles on Collision. She wrestles on Dynamite. Same with Mercedes. It's not just a pay-per-view thing. And I like Io Sky, but this is my point in the WWE. They barely fucking wrestle. The majority of the time they come out and talk, but then they'll have the same people getting title shots, and then they have you see Chelsea Green and Piper Niven more than anybody else, and they're always losing. Mia Yim's always losing, 98% of the time she loses. 98.9% of the time she loses. and then you'll get Rhea Ripley in a match. Bianca Belair, she's been out for a little bit, but of course you want to book your top stars. But what I'm saying is, why they being the workhorses, you got wrestlers like E.O. Scott that barely wrestles, man. When is the last time Braun Breaker wrestled? All he does is come out and interfere in matches to help Seth Rollins. But when is he actually wrestling? So these are the things I'm looking at, and it's like, yeah, you can't even compare these women, man. You can't. And what's really sad is Masha Slamovich, even though she's a good wrestler, man, nobody cares about what she's doing. I promise you, if you haven't noticed and been watching, the TNA crowd is so lukewarm with this woman. Like, no matter what she does, they really don't care. So she's failed to fill the shoes of Jordynne Grace. But it's the way she's being booked. And she is another one, man. Look at Rosemary. She's one of the pillars of the women's division. People forget how long Rosemary was with TNA since they were on Spike TV. And every time I see Rosemary, she's losing. She's changed her look several times. But this is the type of things that happen. So I'm not sure of the future. I don't even say professional wrestling, to be honest with you. I can, because these indies companies are just going to be indies companies. But for companies like AEW, WWE, TNA's not in the same league as either one of them, but those companies, when you look at wrestling, people love to say wrestling is failing, wrestling is this or that. And I don't feel like it's wrestling as a whole, but I do feel like, because it's just a different time and era, it's harder for people to adjust to a lot of the things that you see happening in wrestling now, as opposed to when it was in its heyday, so to speak. But then I look at people when they say that, and I say, well, which company are you talking about? Because several companies were in their heyday at one point. And I don't think you should use one company to try to define a whole genre. And, what you do is what you do. That's one of the things about music back in the day. People had their own styles. Nobody wanted to copy nobody, because nobody wanted to be called out. And man, trying to be this guy, trying to be that, be yourself, So I look at all of that stuff, man. And I can tell you, when I look at Mercedes Monè and what she's doing and where she's come from, I remember watching her in Charlotte Flair. That's like the most watched match that I've had as far as her in the WWE. I've watched her in Charlotte in that Hell in a Cell match several times. And Mercedes has matured so much in that ring, though, man, to where she doesn't have to half kill herself, man. In there, she's going back and forth. She was always on her opponents was getting the best of her in her matches. But that's just the way they booked it, man. But what she's doing right now, I appreciate that shit. Just for the perspective of just watching solid performances, at what she does. But she's not like everybody else. She's not just like when you say Mercedes Monè, it's not just like saying, you could take just any female wrestler and say, hey, okay, we can make this person a star. I look at the Wyatt Six, and it's like, they're failing. That group sucks. They're just a group of misfits that you can't replicate the Wyatt family with who you have. And when you understand who these wrestlers are, these are wrestlers that were never, ever top level at no point in time. So just because you try to make them look spooky, bring some play a little spooky music and all that, who cares, man? Who cares? This is what I'm saying. They try different gimmicks with people to try to change things around. It doesn't work. They tried that with them. We know that Nikki Ash is now walking around like some, like she's some psychopath. She used to be a superhero. She was a little psychopath before that, but just without the spooky stuff. And these are the things that they try to do to revive wrestlers' careers. But that's why I feel like Mercedes Monè made the smartest decision in her wrestling career by signing with AEW and not going back to the WWE. And the fact is, she can go. It's not like it's just a thing where, okay, since she's from the WWE, let's make her our top lady. Right now, with all the belts that she holds, Toni Storm is the AEW champion. So we're gonna know who the best is. Come all in. And right now, she's the best. Those are the two best female wrestlers going right now, man. Like everything that they got going, like when you watch them, you're entertained by them. Nobody else is. I mean, and don't get me wrong. Like Megan Dane, I love her too. Chris Statlander. I haven't seen Hikaru Shida in a while, but like people like that. Rio. They have some people, man. They have people. Queen Aminata. They have a nice roster, man. They have a lot. But I'm saying like Toni Storm and Mercedes, top two females, easily. And when Bianca comes back, how she fits in to the mix of what's going on, all these different things that you if you give it thought before it happens, and then when it happens, if it doesn't deliver, it's like wow, But I don't know. Bianca was a workhorse, man. So whatever her injury is, if it's a legit injury, or if she had, she's healed. I don't know what's going on. But sometimes they give a person a break. Like I said, they try to bring them back and make the fans miss them or whatever. But but just bottom line, the in-ring work, man. And now Mercedes is very technical in there, very calculated in there in her own way. And like just pound for pound, man, she's solid. Toni Storm is solid. Toni Storm is tough as fuck. She'll bleed. She'll have street fights. She'll do all of that kind of stuff. When do you see that happen in WWE? When? I mean, let's be real. The time that we wanted to see some hardcore shit, that should have been Jade Cargill versus Naomi when Jade came back. Because that should have been a grudge match. But all Jade was caring about was pinning her shoulder to the mat 1, 2, 3 and being able to say, I beat you. But you put me on the shelf for 2.5 months because you shoved me off of a dock or whatever onto somebody's windshield. Like, come on. That's what that should have been. Now, you go back, since you guys, now the WWE has Mariah May. Let's watch every match Mariah May has in the developmental league, NXT, and go back and look at her work in AEW, and I guarantee you it won't compare. You're not going to see you're not going to see those type of matches. And this is where, AEW gave Mariah May a huge chance. They gave her, they made her their champion. I used to watch her when she was over in Stardom and these other companies. And then, you look at Toni Storm and what's happening with her. The matches that they had together. You think you're going to see anything even close to that in NXT? Or Raw or SmackDown? Because you're not. But hey, it is what it is, man. Salute to Mercedes Monè. Because she's getting it done, man. And all the hate, all the bullshit, she still gets it done. She goes in there and she shines every single time. Somebody got to tell the truth, man. Why not me? That's all I got for you guys right now. Catch you guys on the next video.